Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Marketing the Invisible. I'm Tom Poland, beaming out to you from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. Joined today by Doug C. Brown. Doug, g'day from down under, sir. Where are you hanging out? Where are you based?
We are in New Hampshire in the United States, and good day to you too.
Folks, if you don't know Doug, he's the CEO of CEO Sales Strategies. He's also an international best-selling author of the book Win-Win Selling, which is music to my ears. And the subtitle of Win-Win Selling is Unlocking Your Power for Profitability by Resolving Objections. He's a nationally recognized sales revenue growth expert and consultant. We all know how critically important sales is to a business. The old saying is nothing happens in a business until something is sold. Now, you listening to this, whether you realize it or not, are selling. You're influencing, you're selling, hopefully you're doing it authentically and ethically. The title of this interview is going to be hopefully very, very important to you. It's how to be in the top 1% of earners. So please listen up, because there's going to be some gems and gold nuggets in the next 7 minutes, which Doug is starting now. Question number one, sir, who's your ideal client?
So my ideal client is somebody who's selling, normally a business coach, business consultant, salesperson,
Right.
solo business owners, or people who even have sales teams.
Okay.
And they're looking for themselves or someone on their team or all of their team members to be in the top 1% of earners in their whole industry through selling. Really people who value quality of life, quality of time, and they want access to higher income, better payoff for them,
Sure.
whether it's to pay off their house or money for the kids in college or to expand their business or whatever it might be.
Yeah, great. So we're looking at people who are very goal-orientated and growth-orientated. Tell us about the problem you solve for them. How would you define that? That's question two.
Well, I think the challenge for these people is they have desire, but don't have the skills and knowledge on how to navigate their sales processes and the sales in general. So they can't be at the top 1%. They want to get there. They want more money. And at the same time, they don't want to spend 24 hours a day trying to achieve what they want. And so they really don't have what I would call sales leverage in their business. They're acting transactionally or versus creating the leverage through the process.
Right. So yeah, so it's all a bit random by the sound of it, and fly by the seat of your pants and make it up as you go and just see what happens. What would you say? Question three is what's going on in their sales conversations, perhaps, or on their business life generally, that would give them a tip as to the fact that they need to find out more about what you do? And what's some of the typical symptoms they're experiencing?
Well, the typical symptoms, frankly, they all boil down to they're not getting the right results for themselves, and they're working way too many hours. They're frustrated. They're dealing with a lot of clientele that really isn't what we would call sales qualified clientele, more lead gen type qualified. They know that they want to do better, but they really don't know how to, or they know how to, but they have no system around or accountability around on how to. And so they're stuck with some impedance in some capacity.
And you mentioned the difference between sales qualified and lead gen qualified. Did I get that right? What?
Yes, sir.
What's that difference?
Well, I mean, if you think about, there's three forms of leads, right? There's leads, i.e. someone comes in and I don't know, they got a pulse, really. They've expressed some interest in some capacity. People think, oh, wow, that's a lead. It's a lead. But then a marketing qualified lead would be, they have some type of expressed interest, but there's some type of established need in the process that they've kind of identified. But a sales qualified lead, and there's two types really, but the sales qualified lead ranges from, okay, we have their information. We know they have a need. Now we're going to find out up front, do they have a budget? Do they have a must-have versus a need? Right? We're going to find out who are the influencers. All of the discovery process that people are trying to do in discovery process today can be done up front. Therefore, we now have a qualified sales lead, i.e. we should be talking to them about actually making a sale versus a discovery session to find out if they actually have the need.
Perfect. I love the distinctions you've made between those different levels. Thank you for that. And that alone can help you folks, because once you understand that, if you're dealing with potentially just a tire kicker or someone who must have a solution, is prepared to act. Let's move to question 4. Just over 3 minutes left. What would you say is one of the biggest mistakes that people make in trying to solve their problem of a lack of conversion?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think basically, well, they're trying to think that they can accomplish everything in a 2-day book or seminar, right? So when they're trying to learn these type of skills, they're trying to do them in a vacuum. They're really kind of chasing different marketing methods, or they're not really thinking strategically about their business models, and they're coming at it from their own frame. So they're trying to do their things on their own, and they're not asking for help or objective feedback from the process, or they're not seeking it out. So we will all, as human beings, create in our own head what we think is the right answer. And so, there's the person we think we are, there's the person other people think we are, and then there's the person we really are. So if we look at a business in that context,
right,
that's where they're making the mistake. They're not thinking long term, they're thinking short term, and they don't know how to prioritize activities in the right way. So they're spending a tremendous amount of time burning themselves out in trying to gather sales that sometimes not even worth chasing, right? I mean, in win-win selling, you want to disengage if the client isn't the right sale.
Absolutely. So let's carry that theme on. Question 5, a top tip. What can people do to move a step in the right direction that's going to pick up some of the themes that you're talking about right now? Just under 2 minutes left, but give Coach a top tip if you would.
Well, I think the first thing is start with an assessment, a self-honesty assessment, right? So what do you really want? A lot of people are chasing sales and they're not sure why they're even doing it. So they're playing win-lose in a lot of capacities, because even if they win, they lose, right? They give up things in their life that they don't know how, don't need to. So the question is, are you truly committed to the work and the amount of work you really want to give, right? So if you take an honesty assessment on that process, it's the difference between nice to have and what's necessary, and it's about that versus commitment to actually growing into a 1% earner, because there is a reason that people are in the top 1%, Tom, versus people who are not. And that really comes down to, are we being truthful with our goals? And then do we have a plan to get there? And are we working alone, or are we having other people to help us? It's a game you got to have other people help.
And it's a conversation you've got to have as well. So let's so question 6 is a valuable free resource. I'm going to give folks the URL for that just to save time. Folks, go to ceosalesstrategies.com and look for the sales and marketing audit and checklist, because that's going to get you started, and that will be a big part of the self-assessment. Doug, thanks for offering that. ceosalesstrategies.com, sales and marketing auditing and checklist. Last question, sir. We've got a whopping 15 seconds for it. What's the one question I should have asked you but didn't?
What keeps people stuck from making the money they pursue, right? And I'll give you the answer. They think they're in their business, and what they're in, they need to be in is client acquisition versus their own service business.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's the focus. Doug C. Brown, thank you so much for your time and your insights.
Tom, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks for checking out our Marketing the Invisible podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to generate 5 fresh leads in just 5 hours, then check out www.5hourchallenge.com.